Hello and welcome back to the Three Pillars Podcast. I'm your host, Chase Tobin, aka Tobinator the Motivator, and this is episode 42, Anger and Fools. Ladies and gents, thank you again for tuning into the Three Pillars Podcast, the podcast where we talk about growing closer to the Lord on our daily journey, utilizing those three pillars, spiritual, mental, and physical fitness. Again, this podcast has been a journey for all of us, I hope. I know based off the feedback I've gotten, it's been a positive impact in some of you guys' lives. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate you guys giving me content. I appreciate you guys giving me mental clarity to really sit down here once a week and just kind of get stuff off our chests and get it out there into the airwaves, right? This has been a very therapeutic journey for me from start to finish. 42 episodes in, I never thought I'd embark on something like this. This is cool. So again, you have my thanks from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate that. You guys have been absolutely stellar. So tonight we're going to talk about anger and fools. A couple verses we're going to get into, just a few, nothing too crazy, and how you really can learn how to control your anger or be considered a fool. We're going to get into all that. But before we do, as always, you guys, if you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, I appreciate you guys giving a like or a subscribe, drop a comment, let me know what's going on in your life. If you're listening to this on the conventional podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, Amazon, you name it, we're there. Leave a follow, share this if you are so inclined. I would greatly appreciate it. It would mean the world to me. Boosts us up in ratings, keeps rocking and rolling. Again, this is kind of a fun thing, but I think it can be of benefit to anybody tuning in. So if you feel the same way, then let's get it out there. If you'd like to be on the show, let me know. We'll get you in and we'll schedule a time. And we'll let you give your thoughts on anything that's going on in the world, anything you think that the listeners would appreciate. So I'm all about that. Again, I have people lined up for interviews this month, actually. So before the end of the month, you will have another one to listen to. It's gonna be good. So I'm not gonna get in. We haven't done it yet, so I can't tell you what it's about. But we'll get into it as we get closer to the end of the month. All the housekeeping stuff out of the way. Let's dive into a quick word of prayer, and then we'll just jump right into angers and fools. Good to go. All right. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the blessings that you give us each and every day. Thank you for being our guiding light in this world. Lord, I thank you for giving us the tools to respond to things in ways that you model, Lord, for keeping us in check with our anger, keeping us in control of our emotions. That way we are more responsive rather than reactive. Lord, I appreciate that very much. Lord, I ask that you bless anybody tuning into this tonight, whatever's on their hearts, whatever's on their spirit. Please, Lord, give them peace. Give them tranquility, give them strength to carry on, and help them increase their faith in you each and every day, Lord. Lord, I ask you to do the same for me. The things in my life, the things that are going on in my family, Lord, I ask you to continue to give me the strength to lead my family closer to you and get them to heaven, Lord. That's my job. Lord, I ask you to increase all of our faith each and every day, stronger, and so that we can just go out into this world and calm the waters of people's emotions. That, again, we can all focus on you, Lord. Lord, I ask you to use me tonight. Give me the words to say. Give everybody tuning in the eyes to see and ears to hear, that we can all, again, grow closer to you, Lord. In your most heavenly name. Amen. All right. We're going to talk about anger, and we're going to talk about fools today. I got two quick verses. We're going to hit one out of Ecclesiastes, one out of Proverbs, and then we're going to kind of talk about it. Talk about, what happens when you just kind of spout off being angry. And is that actually good or bad for your whole overall well-being? And people around you too, right? We'll get into that. So the first verse I want to get into is Ecclesiastes 7:9. And again, I read from the King James Version, but you guys can follow along as it is. I just like the way it sounds. It's always been it's always been my favorite. So Ecclesiastes 7, verse 9. Be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools. Anger rests in the bosom of fools. So there's a lot of implications we can get into that as far as the spiritual aspect of it. We talked about how emotions can physically embody and physically reside in your system. Stress can just make you it can cause wrinkles, it can cause aging, it can cause gray hairs, it can really wear down on you if you don't deal with it. Same thing with anger. Anger, you just get a lot of rage. Heart issues can derive from being very angry. A lot of you talk about, the classic old Sicilian guy with heart problems, right? Because you bottle it up and eventually you just blow your stack, like the guy on that one Disney movie, his hair catches on fire, right? You gotta be patient with these things and not jump straight into just being angry all the time. We'll get to that in a little bit in just a minute. We'll get to the next verse and we'll kind of talk about how they all kind of tie together. But again, be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools. There's a lot to be said there too about your emotional state and how in your emotional maturity. And again, we'll get to that in a minute. Second one is from Proverbs 29, verse 11. A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it till afterwards. Keepeth in till afterwards. A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it. But a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards. Okay. So what are the implications here? We talk about being angry. And is it okay to be angry? It's not really a sin to be angry because it's an emotional response. If I watch somebody attack my family, I'm going to be angry. It's not a bad thing to have righteous anger and to go after this person who's attacking my family or anything like that, right? But it's righteous anger. Being angry. My son the other day was really mad at me because I told him he couldn't have chicken nuggets and French fries for breakfast, and he was angry. That's a different level of emotional maturity, right? And that's what this gets into when it talks about anger resting in the bosom of fools. If you're old enough to know better, if you're old enough to have an emotional response to something based off of your life experiences and things that are going on in the world, you are old enough to check that anger and not be foolish with it. What are you really upset at? I remember being in first grade and I went home to my mom. I was just all upset and angry because, somebody called me a stupid head or something like that. So somebody called me stupid, I think. And I was just huffing and puffing mad. And my mom said, well, are you stupid? And I was like, no. She's like, then what are you angry at? I was just angry at the fact somebody called me stupid. And as like a first grader, what are you, like 7 years old in first grade? Like, you don't know how to deal with that anger, but if you have somebody show you how to do that, it helps you to check that. But when you get to a point in life where you're just mad at everything for no reason, there's a deeper underlying reason for your anger. Some people, like little man syndrome, or just trying to be the toughest dude on the block. So you have to just be angry. You have to act out of this emotion. There's a lot of guys out there, and this is true of guys, right? Ladies, pay attention. There's guys out there that are quick to be real angry, like over little things, because they're very emotional creatures. And why is that? Why are men so emotional right now? Well, it's no secret that there's been an attack on the nuclear family in America and the Western world for that matter, where little boys have no real father figure. There's several scenarios that could play out. Maybe the dad is home, but he works so much he's never actually present and intentional with his children. Okay, maybe there's no father in the scenario whatsoever because he left or he died or something like that. So where do these young men, these young boys learn how to deal with emotions? They learn from their mother. Ladies, you're generally more emotional by nature, so you're going to raise an emotional young man. Couple that with most young men, if they don't have a father, let's just say if they don't have a father in their life, now they go to school for 12, 13 years or more if they go off to college. And most of the teachers in that young man's life are female. And most of the standards that are set up today are, you compare a boy who learns this way and a girl who learns this way, and you're trying to hold them to the same standard. And a lot of times it's the female standard. The guys have to go to, they just don't measure up. So they got all this emotional stuff going on. They don't know how to deal with it because they don't have a father figure in their life to show them how to deal with emotions. You're not saying you're so stoic that, even if you have a father figure in the house. So gents, getting into that, gents, if you have kids at home and you are intentional with them, you don't have to be so stoic. We don't have emotions. Men don't have emotions. You just deal with things as they come along. That's not it either. There's a time and place for like stoicism. I get that. You deal with anger and you work it out, and you deal with emotions and you work it out and things like that. But you don't have to be such a stone that there's nothing that ever deals with your emotions, right? Nothing ever can cause you to have an emotional response. Like that's like the farthest definition of stoicism. I know it's more than that, right? I get that. I'm not a stoic by any means. But there are some things you can take away from that. That's a whole other lesson. But the point is, men especially have to, it's not that you can't have emotion. It's you have to know how to channel and harness that emotion. Yes, there are things that are going to anger you. But you know how to, things that really need to anger you are like attacks on your family, like physical attacks on your family. You can say all the words you want to about me behind my back. I don't care. You're not paying my bills. You can say things, you can call me a stupid head to my face. Not going to faze me anymore. You try to punch me? Okay, now we got a different story. You know what I mean? You got to learn what battles to give your energy to. Things that really make you angry. Fools get angry about little stuff. You're out with your girl and, some guy looked at my girl, I got to go punch him in the face. That's some foolish stuff. You're not secure enough, knowing that she's there with you and you have done everything you can to, she's not going to be looking at other dudes anyways. You guys are out having dinner or whatever. You know what I mean? But if you're out at a club, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, and you're with your girl and some other dudes are just out there on the prowl like that. It's like ladies are out there on the prowl for the dudes. Why are you putting yourself in that situation anyways? That's what a fool does, is you put yourself in that situation, number one. So, okay, if you already know you're a little bit of a nutcase, right? Why take yourself and put you in a place that's going to, it's like putting, gas on a flame that's tinder, right? It's going to blow up. So that's like a foolish path. Okay, this is what I think I need to do. I want to take my girl out to the club, and I'm already a volatile, emotional person anyways. Let me just fan that flame by putting myself in a place where I'm going to get into conflict. And I'm not anti-conflict. I'm all about confrontation, having people talking stuff out like adults, not just beating around the bush or talking crap behind each other's back on Facebook or having long debates on Facebook. Sit down with me, have a cup of coffee, and let's talk about it, right? That's the adult thing to do. But there's too many children out there. People still in this little mentality. So it's foolish. There are people who are fools. There are people who are pretty good folk who are foolish. And there's people who are you guys are just a bunch of foolish fools, right? So don't be foolish and have this anger problem over little things. Now, again, there is righteous anger. There's righteous anger out there. There's plenty of things to be genuinely upset and angry about. Look at what's going on in the world right now. There's people really upset about some really important issues. Again, we're not going to get into them. I don't get too political here, but there's people all over the world right now standing up for their rights because they are genuinely angry. They're doing it in a peaceful way. There have been other people over the past couple of years that are genuinely angry about things, that went about things in a not so peaceful way. That is foolish. They were paid to do it, but you get what I'm saying? I'm all about cause and doing things. I'm all about doing things, by the book, peaceful. You don't have to go burning down cities or tar and feathering politicians to get your point across. on the other side of the house, some of these people who are in power need to listen to their constituency and hear what's on their mind. It's a two-way street. You gotta have civil discourse. But there's people that are genuinely angry about some really important things. But if I don't give you chicken nuggets for breakfast, then you shouldn't get that mad. You see what I'm saying? When you are quick to anger, it means you don't have patience. We've talked about patience in the past. You're emotionally immature. How do you harness your emotions? How do you mature in your emotions? You read, you pray, you listen to podcasts, whatever's going to set your mind at ease. Things that you got to listen to things that edify you. And I hope this podcast helps edify you guys and put you in the right place, put you in the right state of mind. That's the goal of this whole thing. But you have to do things that, kind of soothe the savage beast, right? Listen to nice music. And it's okay to rage out and things like with your outlet, whether it's the gym, whether it's, you do things with your hands, you construct something, these kind of things that give you that outlet. You go to the range and you pop some rounds off that range for some target practice and things like that, right? There's plenty of things you can do as outlets for your emotion. But you have to have that on the front end, and you have to you have to mature your mind and then have that close relationship with the Lord. That way these things don't physically embody in your system. Because anger can be a very physical thing. You get tense. The chemical cocktail floods your body. You got cortisol. You got epinephrine. You got adrenaline. You got all kinds of stuff flowing through your veins. You get real, white knuckle, tense. You get tunnel vision. Audible exclusion takes place when you're angry, and you get so focused on the one thing. But if you are trained to harness your emotions, that stuff kind of goes away. The tunnel vision doesn't get so narrow. Now you still have situational awareness. You can still hear, things that are important, and you're not so tense all the time. You can manage what's going on. Somebody might come up to you and say something, even if you're out to dinner with something, and somebody sees you and you had beef with them in the past or something, or somebody just doesn't like you. So there's people out there just fools, and they're emotionally unintelligent, and they'll come up and try to start something with you for no reason. And you're going to get that kind of bubbling anger in it, and you have to decide at some point whether it's righteous anger or not. You got to decide what you want to do next. Most of the time, it's not even worth your trouble. But if it's a real life-threatening thing, then you got to take the next step, right? But you have to run these scenarios in your head. Again, time and a place to have anger. Jesus was angry when he flipped the tables over in the temple because all the tax collectors and money launderers and all those guys were in there doing some heinous stuff when it was supposed to be a place of worship. That's righteous anger, beating them with whips and stuff, right? Righteous anger, because this is the temple of the Most High God, and you guys are in here defiling it. Righteous anger. Clean and shop, right? So there is a time and a place to be angry. And how you manage that anger and what you do with it. It's not always, doesn't have to be violence. But again, you have to think about the consequences of things too. You can't just go in a blind rage, because that's what fools do. Because they don't. But not saying you can't fault them, because you can. There are people in this world who don't have the tools to deal with their emotions, unfortunately, and they just go into blind rages because they don't know how to cope and deal with this flood of emotions that combined with the chemical cocktail that's running through their system. And again, that stems from a lot of young men without a real solid father figure. I think we've talked about that before. You take a father out of a home, you affect 4 generations of men. At some point, though, men and ladies, you got to stop being a victim, and you got to figure it out. And you got to figure out how to handle your emotions. Anger being the specific one we talk about, because that's the one you see most. People just get angry over little things, anger over something that happened, anger, and everybody's always angry at each other, and everybody wants retribution and punishment and stuff like that. And a lot of society is built on punishment and taking out your anger on folk, right? But if we had a society more built on caring for other people, it would make these punishment systems irrelevant. Because we would be able to police ourselves in our communities. But there's just so much emotion and so much anger in the world. And that's foolish. That's a fool's errand, is being angry. It physically sets in your bosom. And a fool will let you know he's angry real quick. A wise man, as it said in the proverb, he'll let you know it afterwards. Man, I was real mad about that. But I didn't want to, not that I didn't want to speak my mind, but I know how to choose my battles. It ain't worth it. Sometimes you can't talk to people when they're angry. Some of my kids, I can't talk to them when they're angry. You gotta let them, it's like shaking up a Coke can, right? This catharsis of just emotion flies out. And once it settles back down, it's all flat. Then you can talk to them. Same thing with little kids. Same thing with a lot of things. I've learned this a lot. Even in the military, when I worked at the hospital, when I worked at the universities, a lot of things like that. You just got to let some things, some people just, rah, every once in a while, and then they're just, because they expend all their energy being angry. When a wise man will, do what steps necessary to keep yourself safe and whatnot, but let them be angry for just a minute and, hey, you ready to talk about this stuff now? A wise man checks his anger. Okay? A fool just lets it go out into the world. That's the whole bottom line premise of this whole thing. If you don't check your anger, I'm going to consider you foolish. Unless, again, it's righteous anger. Okay? Hey, so that's my little spiel on anger and fools. I think it gets a little deeper. I think it gets more into the root cause of your anger, whatever that might be. And we've talked about different things, that nature, trauma and stuff in the past. And that's for you to really sit down and figure out what is going on in your life that is causing you this pain and this anguish. I can't do that for you. But I can tell you, if it's something that's haunting you like that, you need to address it and figure out, why are you so angry? And if you're in one of these situations like we talked about, maybe you didn't have a father figure. I know people in my family who don't even know their fathers are. And it affects a lot of folk in there. But at some point, you got to be the man or woman to pony up, stop playing the victim, and figure it out. Find the tools. You may not have the tools to deal with it right this second, but at least I know from the analytics of this podcast, most of you guys are about my age. At this age, it's time to pony up and hold yourself accountable for your actions and for your anger. Don't be a fool. Don't be foolish. Talk it out, figure it out, and we'll get through it all together. Good to go? Boom. All right, guys. I appreciate you tuning in tonight. I hope you guys have had a wonderful week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We got Valentine's Day coming up. I think it's an appropriate episode before you get into Valentine's Day, because a lot of people, they're real angry, but they want to just, move into Valentine's Day and make everything all lovey-dovey and fancy and just fix it all right there. But just listen, Valentine's Day is just one day out of the year. If you're in a relationship and you've got anger issues right there, one day is not going to fix it. One day of lovey-dovey stuff. You should have like Valentine's Day like every day. That's what your goal should be. Replace your anger with love. That's probably the most profound thing I've said this entire episode. Replace your anger with love. Think about what it means to love this person who's causing you anger. That's hard to do. We've talked about loving your enemies before. Go watch that podcast. I forget what episode it is. It's back there though. Replace your anger with love. Be lovey all the time. Enjoy your Valentine's Day. I hope it's good for you guys. I really do. But again, make it every day. You don't have to do Valentine's Day just one day. I'm not like a big holiday guy. personally, except for like St. Patrick's Day, because it's the best. That's just me though, because I'm Irish. Guys, if you like this podcast, if you like what we got going on here at Three Pillars Podcast, please let me know. Drop it in the comments. If you got a topic you want to discuss, let me know. Email me, shoot me a text message, DM me on whatever platform you're on. I'm more on Gab right now. Gab and Telegram. Gab for, just general thoughts, and it's, that's my new Facebook, because Facebook stinks. And Telegram's where I drop a lot of news articles. You guys can go peruse through and check out what's going on there. Obviously, still have a Facebook, still have an Instagram. It helps me promote the podcast. But it's really more for me to say, hey guys, you guys should come check out Gab because it's way cooler. So shameless plug on that. Share this if you like what's going on. Again, follow me on the podcast platforms. Follow me on YouTube and Rumble for the video content. Again, we're also on Clout Hub and Locals for video content as well, if that's what you're into. Depends on where you're at. Just let me know. To my international folk, thank you all for tuning in. You guys are awesome. Let me know where exactly you guys are from. Drop it in the comments on the videos. I'd love to, give you a shout out from wherever you guys are at. I see the country. I don't know if I can get too far into like where we're at in the country, but that's pretty neat that you guys are tuning in. So I appreciate that. Keep sharing this. We're going to keep going as long as I can have content. My wife asked me what I was going to be talking about tonight, and I said, well, how about this, and that? And she goes, I was like, I'll find one. She didn't realize I had so much planned out. So, it worked out. Again, thanks for tuning in, guys. You've been phenomenal. Let's end it with a quick word of prayer, and then we'll kick you off to the weekend. All right. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for, again, teaching us how to have righteous anger, teaching us how to control our anger and our emotions, Lord. Thank you for giving us the tools. Thank you for giving us the peace and level-headedness to control our anger so that we don't act foolish as we are the image bearers of you, Lord. They say, when you're a fool, you let everybody know it by your words. But, wise man keeps it to himself. And Lord, thank you for giving us that wisdom, above all things, to know which battles to pick. I think everybody wants to get in conflict and just be right now, Lord. But I think a lot of times it's just, hey, if somebody needs to be right in this moment, maybe that's just what they need, and we'll catch them when they come down. So thank you for helping us again, Lord, pick those battles and be wise and discerning when it comes to where we want to spend our energies, Lord. Lord, I ask that you bless anybody tuning in tonight. Give them the strength and the faith to carry on each and every day because, Lord, you're with us. And Lord, I thank you once again for all that you do in our lives. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, that's all I got. I'll see you guys next week. Happy Valentine's Day. Tobinator out.